Alright, welcome back to another episode of V Square Podcast. This is episode 3. And
Hello.
today we're going to talk a little bit more about designers' mentality, how to handle criticism.
Yeah, it's a pretty... Okay, criticism is going to be something that you're going to be facing throughout your entire life. You know, very normal thing. People will criticize you for things that they don't like and things that you might like. So we're going to be diving into this pretty deep.
Yeah, so before we begin our dive, let us thank our audiences who have listened to our previous episodes. We have gotten plenty of feedbacks. We thank you all for all of that. But there's one in particular that I think he knows who I'm referring to, one of our close friends, right?
I have no comment.
Yeah, I want to choke him to death, alright? For the way he's saying, I want to choke him to death.
But we do appreciate what he has been telling us because it's very constructive feedback, although it does hurt our feelings. But it's okay.
Yeah,
It's okay.
yeah, it's alright, it's okay. But yeah, so let's begin our podcast proper. So,
Let's...
Norman.
Me, alright.
Yeah, so since we're talking about criticism, right? So, what do you really count as criticism to you?
Okay. Very baseline question. I feel that, alright, because I'm gonna put it in the situation because, you know, I'm a designer who's still studying in Polytechnic. So I'm gonna count criticism with the context of it being in consultations with my teachers. So when I receive some type of criticism, right, it's gonna have to be pointing out a few different things. It's either criticizing my work or criticizing me as a human being. So it's mostly criticizing about work, and criticism is a form of a way to express maybe something that you're doing wrong, which is like the how can I describe it? Just imagine if you were consulting your teacher and you had some work to show and they pointed out certain things that they don't like from let's say a logo that you drew. So like, this circle is not perfectly drawn as a circle. That is criticism right there, because they're telling you that you did not do this right. So criticism is a way for people to enforce some type of idea that they carry and say that you should do this. That is what I think criticism is. Ben, what's your take on that?
I mean, I agree with you on the first part when you talk about criticism is a situation-based thing, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, to everyone that's listening to this podcast, if you ever consider coming to design school, or become a designer in a long way to run, criticism will go with you like a ghost. They will haunt you at night. They will haunt you everywhere you go. You're gonna hear it.
It's gonna be literally, even outside of design school, it's gonna be everywhere. It's gonna be throughout your entire life, when you're born all the way up to your death. You're gonna get it in some form or from anywhere.
Yes, you're going to swallow it. But just let me explain my view of criticism.
Please do.
To me, it's like criticism is only so-called valid. I will only when I call like when someone tells me something, I call it as a criticism only when this person has a better experience than myself, lah. Basically, they're better than me.
Okay.
They have like more expertise in the area, and whichever things I'm doing. For example, I'm doing a logo also lah. Then my alignment is off, and then they criticize me for making this kind of mistakes, and I fixed it afterwards. And I mean that's where I count it as a criticism, because that's my loophole, my mistake, and they point it out, and that I count it as a criticism.
Okay. But that's mostly like a positive type of criticism, right? Like, are you gonna put it in like negative or positive context, you know? Because like certain types of criticism from, let's say, lecturers, right, can be good or bad. So like how they address your criticism, right? Let's say if you're trying to draw that circle and then one of the teachers was like, hey, do you know this circle, although it's not great, you can fix it. That's like the positive type of criticism to me. And there's this negative type of criticism that I also have experienced and have seen, where it's like, yo, this circle is shit, you don't know what you're doing.
Oh, all right. So you're like saying about your experience with the language use and the
Yeah,
structure
yeah,
of a
yeah.
criticism.
Mm.
Well, to me,
It's like
it's like
because we gotta define the idea of what criticism really, uh, what's the right
yeah.
place to use criticism, I guess, or what should be criticism and what shouldn't be criticism.
All right. Uh, I mean, this really focuses on the whole purpose of the feedback. All right, let's not call it a criticism just yet. Let's call it a feedback. So, for example, let's go back to the logo case one more time. You did a logo, and it has some like misalignments. The circle doesn't look like a circle. The triangle doesn't look like a triangle, and your lecturer or someone else approaches you and spots that, and then in their mind right now, they're thinking that, all right, this has to be a circle, but it's not being presented right to my eyes, or it looks very off. So
okay.
they decided to give us the feedback that say, hey, something is wrong here. And how they phrase it, right? Basically, either they say, oh my god, this is a shit logo, or like, okay, this logo is good, it can be better. It's just like whether you sugarcoat your whole feedback or not. That's where I see it in terms of the structure of a criticism. But the things get twisted here, right? If it starts dragging away from the whole purpose of the feedback. For example, right, if you're only trying to say point out the mistake in the logo, right, that say the circle is not properly drawn as a circle, but then you started talking about other things like, oh, since you can't draw this circle properly and this logo cut doesn't look good, then you equivalent like you are a shit designer at the same time. That's where
okay. Yeah, no,
that's where things get off
it
track.
gets very messy from there on, because that's not they're not criticizing your work anymore, they're criticizing you as a person, right?
Yeah.
Which is, I've seen actually certain lecturers do that, but I feel like maybe it's just their way of teaching certain students, because with like you beat them down after they kind of like raise up, and then they spring back up from all of that. But yeah, it's up to a certain individual to judge whether or not that criticism is right for them.
Yeah, it's a bit harsh lah from time to time where
it is.
I mean, but of course lah, criticism is usually like in the design school context, from the feedbacks from the lecturers, feedback from like your peers is usually good intention. All right, usually I'm not ruling out like the places when they can start like attack your whole family and your whole
I think
ancestors.
in that case it becomes like a negative. Most of the criticism that you hear, which is mostly out to help you improve as a designer, but yeah, the ones who with ill intent would personally just nitpick every single thing out of a certain thing that you have, and they will attack you as a person. Those are people with ill intention.
Yeah, so just sniff out the purpose of the whole feedback that they're giving you, and if it's so-called all pointed towards the same issue or the same angle at the end, then you can count it as a criticism. But if it starts shooting everywhere, that becomes not as a criticism in my own eyes.
I mean, okay, so like, okay, I got an interesting question for you, right? You want to list like a few examples of where you enjoyed the criticism that you received, and one situation where you didn't.
Oh, wow, that's...
If you're on the spot, if you can think about something like that.
Okay, I can definitely tell you what I didn't really enjoy back in the days, all right?
Okay.
So once upon a time, I was an art student, right? Okay, so I was just there doing my competition works, basically being part of, like, I used to be inside the art and design club as a member for my co-curriculum hours. So yeah, I was there doing my things, drawing, gimme, but I'm not the best, right? I'm definitely not the best. I'm just an average member. And so my teacher came by, saw my work, and just look into my face and be like, I give you 2 hours and you just come here to waste my paper.
Shit.
Oh, that really. Oh my god, that was.
That's not even proper criticism, dude.
Okay, I know my work is shit, but he just threw like a very, yeah, it's a question, and they just dump them like, oh no, and like yeah, but that's one. Then because back in the days as a young teenager, you don't really like to listen to these kind of things. You're really sensitive, and you always just spike up like a porcupine and defend yourself from everything. But as I come to design school, I met this one lecturer, right? He was a very great guy. He very nice also. So I was asking him like about one of my projects. Basically, I was doing a book back in year one. So I just asking him, is like I'm trying to achieve this effect. Does this two fonts, the font families combination work in my favor?
So you're like, I assume that this teacher was like some type of like type teacher where his like type foundation was really good.
Yes. Okay. He taught me typography so I just asked him, so I'm trying to go to point A and have B and C. Does it makes me go there? And then he will start telling me that, oh, actually this B and C doesn't really work, but you can try maybe E and G. These two, you get them together, it will give you the A effect you wanted.
Okay. So he gave you like the good suggestion that he thinks that would have made sense for what you're trying to go for, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel that's pretty helpful. That's pretty helpful for when you mentioned that, right? I just think about it as the two differences that you gave with your teacher and your style and the type teacher, right? The art teacher and the type teacher. The art teacher straight up just roasted you.
The
type teacher gave you, like, you showed him, okay, maybe because you didn't manage to show the work that you're trying to achieve to the art teacher, although you did with the type teacher. You showed your work to the type teacher and he said, okay, you can make these changes because you want to make this certain effect work. And here is what I know.
Something like that.
I feel it's quite good criticism.
Yeah, but what's your take? Like, just a more interesting side from you. What do you have though?
Okay, so for my side of the story, right, I got different types of criticism. Doesn't have to pertain to design. So back in secondary school, I used to be in Chinese orchestra, right?
Wow.
And I was forced into the position of a leader of the string section. So I was a leader in the string section, although there were many better other players than me. But they said, all right, we're going to choose you because we have faith. I didn't have faith in myself. So when the time came, right, for certain things to be like admin work, for example, when we had to do like stock takes for different parts of our instruments so that we can get them replaced if they ever wear down. When I was supposed to do a stock take, half the time I could not deliver because I was just plain lazy. And the criticism that I got back from that was, you are lazy. So I straight up got told in my face that I was a lazy person, and although they were attacking me, like, as my person, as my characteristics, it was true. It was a negative trait of mine. And I just felt like, okay, maybe I gotta put in some more effort into this co-curricular activity, although I might not be the most passionate in it. So I went to go and take my role in Chinese orchestra more seriously. So I started teaching my my juniors more. I started doing stock takes more. I started attending more meetings. And from the end of that, the feedback that I received from my teachers, right, was that I became, instead of this lazy bastard just like trying to cruise through his CCA and stuff, I became a pretty hardworking guy, and I deserve my position as a leader for strings. The criticism changed slowly as I got more feedback and they can see the work that I was trying to put in. That's my example of how I got the criticism or like feedback.
Nice. That's kind of great. Improvement and stuff.
Although there's like in the design context, right? Criticism is one shot. In my situation, it was one shot, then you can slowly develop it I can't speak. Slowly develop it over time. So maybe in this sense, right, when you're doing design, I just think that you are designing something, you show your lecturers and you consult them saying that, hey, does this do this certain thing? They say no. So you have that small window of time, right, to go redevelop it, and afterwards you can go show them again, and they'll probably say, all right, it's getting better. But it might not be right, it might not be wrong. That's how it depends on how you do it. It's all dependent on how you do it.
Nice. So I think that's actually like a quite good. I think I spot a very good point from your story sharing.
What
So,
was it?
so it actually is the question: why do we need to give
A damn.
I got to give a damn about criticism as a
Right.
designer? Why do we need to care? I mean,
There are a lot of multiple reasons where you can answer with this, right? Some people could say it's like they don't want to disappoint, they don't want to hurt their own pride. It can come as their work, they really want to show good stuff, but I mean it's up to moral compass, I guess. Criticism is a very important thing that helps you improve, because if you don't accept that feedback, then you don't know what's wrong with you or your work and how you can change it. Don't you agree?
I agree to like some
Extent?
extent.
Okay.
I agree to some because I'll tell you what's my feel about it.
Sure.
I mean, growing up, right? Okay, growing up in my environment, right, it's quite different. So basically, I'm 21 this year, so I have about
man.
12 years. Yes, I'm kind of old, but I'm 21 this year. I spent about 12 years in China, and I spent around the next close to 10 years over here. So I was educated, right, about different things, right? So back in China, right, we are always being taught to strive to be the best of the system. Basically, you have a class of 30, you
Had to be
have to
top
get
dog. Oh,
you have to be the top notch, or you just be a bitch. Basically our grades were like what? Average grade in the class is about 85 something. So if you get like 75, you're probably not going to like have any face, for the rest of the term already until the next paper come.
excellent. Okay.
So that's my environment. We're taught to be elitist. All right, we're taught to be an elitist. But then back there, right, when we talk about criticism, when teacher criticize you, say, oh, you didn't do this part of the question correctly. Why are you like so stupid? Like that's the thing. That's the kind of criticism I'm like
Used to.
getting. Like
Okay.
I'm getting like because you fucked up A, then you're equivalent to B and C.
Shit. Okay, that's pretty harsh.
That is very, very harsh. All right, that is very harsh.
Yeah, but I would say that's pretty damn effective if it gets people to driving off topic a little bit, right? You can see the students that they produce from, let's say, like that your mainland country, China. They are smart.
I mean, they are
Because they are
academically.
academically smart just cause they've been trained like that.
Oh, they've been trained like a
Literal,
Spartan
like a
since-
Spartan.
Yeah, it's just oh my god.
But anyways,
so-
back to the topic.
Yeah, back to the topic. So to me, criticism is like a very harsh thing to handle. It's like a hot potato. Once it drops in your hand, it's like nah shit fuck no. Yeah, because it really just hurts that.
But then don't you ever feel like maybe it's not my right to say this, right? But sometimes the criticism that they have shoved onto you, right, is maybe sometimes either not effective or there's too much criticism to the point where it affects you quite heavily. Doesn't that ever happen?
Yeah, we had people who broke down in class because the teacher
yeah,
just
I can imagine.
They I mean, some of my teachers used to call my classmates a dog shit, because dog shit in a pot of porridge, I don't know how the expression came about. Yeah.
It's quite special, but okay.
Yeah, so to me, back then, criticism is I shouldn't care about it. All right, the more I neglect it, the better it is. All right, if I don't see everything is fine.
But as in emotionally wise, or
Like emotionally wise and physically wise, I just don't need to hear it. Like there's no criticism means everything is fine to me.
Okay.
Anna, all right. So that's my China experience as a young kid, right? So that's that. But after I came here for around 8+ years, right, I start to change my mindset of elitist, and start to so-called self-reflect a lot more when I came with criticism. Because at first, to me, I mean, because I previously said that I was like personally attacked by those criticism because they draw the equivalent to who you are through the mistakes or the work you produce.
Like they compare you to the best, basically.
Yeah.
Or the worst, either one.
Yeah, they just compare you here and there and draw the equal sign. But then here, right, things get a little bit different, I would say. Like they are more focused on what you are doing instead of saying who you are because of what you have done.
You mean, okay, but this is where we can, like, let's say differentiate it, right? Are you talking about design school?
Excuse me. I mean, not just design school, but everything in general. Like the mindset has become slightly different in the sense that people still say that, okay, this is a mistake, this is not good, but on the contrary is that they will show you the alternate path,
like the right answer instead of just, okay, you're dog shit and that's it.
Yeah, and because of that, right, from the criticism I'm getting, I'm more like have more guts to further improve myself, to just go forward and face it so I can become better afterwards.
Yeah, of course. It's very encouraging. I think it should be quite encouraging if you get people like that to, like, they say, hey, you might not be doing this right, but there are other alternatives.
Yeah, but I mean, along my whole stretch of 20 years of life, ain't like many people who does this kind of like sugar-coated criticism to allow me to butter slide into everything. But most of the time, it's more like I learn to stand up and face it, to really so-called understand what is really going on instead of shying away from it.
But then wouldn't you say that, let's say if you didn't have that harsh reality first, right, with like the hardcore criticism, then you wouldn't been able to, how to say, okay, from like the story that I hear, right, you sound pretty resilient because you didn't break down pretty easily, although it does hurt. Then when you manage to come to Singapore, right, you manage to get the criticism that kind of helps you develop more. Wouldn't you say that you appreciate this way more compared to what you were going through previously?
I mean, I can't really judge it anyway at this moment now, because whatever that happened back in the days has become who I am now.
So they've developed you into like your character now?
Yeah, if you ask me will I ever do it again,
hell no.
Yes. Yes, I will do it again, because that got me why I am here today. I cannot say that I have no regrets, or that I have no pain, or that people want to choke me if I have a time travel machine, Yeah, but this is what it makes us. So that really makes back to my main point. Why should we really care about criticism as a designer, right? Is for you to examine yourself. It's not saying that what people say you are is what you are. All right. It's more like you sit and say, oh, this is a new perspective that I can look at my work or look at myself. Then what can I do with it? So that's my point.
Oh, I think you cut off there a little bit. You didn't finish the last part of the sentence.
Oh, really? Okay, never mind. Technical issue. Apologize for that. So, okay, let me just repeat the whole sentence. Like, why do we need to care about criticism as a designer, right? It's not saying that, oh, they say this is bad, or this is horrible, or you're a horrible person, or whichever it is, right? It's more like listening to criticism opens up a new perspective for you.
Yeah,
right?
No, that I agree with. You might be boxed in sometimes when you're doing your own design.
And that really gives you a new opportunity to re-examine yourself, all right? To really look back on your work and yourself. Am I doing this like good or like bad, whichever way you want to like weight it out. But this is really what criticism gives you. It gives you a new platform to look at yourself and your work again.
So you're telling me that But then sometimes criticism can be okay. Like you mentioned previously before, but you weigh out the good or the bad, right? When you said that, I thought like, do people get the criticism that they want whether or not, okay, let's say if I had my work, right? Do I want my teacher to point out the good or the bad?
Wow. I mean, what's your preference though in this case? What would you do if they ask me to, if anyone so-called you present yours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want them to take out the bitter truth, or they want the good side of it?
Okay, specifically for me, right? Because I've been through design for so much, I've gone through the consultations and I know, and I've heard lots of the not bad things. I've heard also lots of bad things about my work because I was a kind of a slow learner at the start. So I prefer to get insta roasted. So I prefer the negative, everything negative first, and what's the positives that I'm achieving with my design. I'll rather get the, alright, this is shit, layout is shit, you can change your font. Hey, but the message is not bad. I'm like, okay, as long as there's one thing, right, that at least I got right, I know I am doing it correct. Then I can slowly change the things to improve.
So you are saying that criticism for you is for you to eliminate the redundancy and the so-called the misdirections that you are trying to so-called like to that stops you from achieving the purpose or the goal that you wanted in the end.
Kind of, yeah. In that sense, it's right.
So you're trimming away all,
like trimming away that doubt that you have, right, from your own work, let's say. Like, let's say if I know that maybe this certain thing is kind of looks but I am not too sure and I don't dare to change it myself, right? I'm gonna go consult my teacher. I consult my teacher, says, okay, I want to really know your opinion, right? From as an audience, is this good or bad? When you first think of it and you first see it. Then I was like, if they tell me it's bad, it's bad. Simple as that. Because I rather not see it as like I want to know that perspective from an outside source, because I might think sometimes it's okay, I might think it's not. I want to know.
alright.
Don't you? No, like, but I feel like, do you think you work like that?
Well, I mean, that used to be myself back in the days. I mean, I just go there and say, I want to get A. Is B and C possible for this thing? You know?
Yeah, like the previous story you told.
Yeah, the previous stories are. But through the recent projects, right, I changed a little bit more. I have like, okay, so how I would so-called try to ask for criticism from a lecturer during a consultation in school, right? I'll just tell them, all right, my whole vision, all right, my big vision here for like A looks like this, all right, and these are the B, C, D, F, G, all the things I've been doing all along to create a path, you know, like a guidance to achieve that point A. So as you can see here, this whole path, like this whole process, does it make sense to you? Do you see the same vision as I do?
Okay, so like what I got from that was you create let's say a few like different segments or components of your entire project, right? And you just say, okay, let me just show you like the what's the right word to use here? MVP?
MVP. Okay, for those who don't know what we mean by MVP, it refers to minimum valuable product.
Yeah, which is basically just the minimum things that you can create, right, to have it displayed for somebody else to understand either the product or the idea.
This is a business term we picked up along the way during our design school times. You know,
yeah. I mean, no, keep going.
Yeah. Excuse me, I'm still having a cough for a while. Yeah. Can't help it.
Okay, wait. So yeah, continuing on with that, right? So you were creating segments of like, let's say your project, right, and creating some MVPs for that, and then you tried to let's say you guide along your teacher with the different things that you have created and see if that entire project makes sense to them.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of, because to me, right, like how you were doing your consultation lately and how I did last time. It's more like I'm throwing in, when I go for a consultation, I'm throwing them a wrecking ball, like a huge nub. Then I expect them to trim it down for a diamond, like a wrecking ball into a size of a small diamond ring, and return it back to me. I'll take that pie and walk away. I feel like it's very hard. It's very not possible for lecturers to give like so many criticism and feedbacks for me to so-called trim down all the redundancy, bad typography, bad colors and stuff to really get that one piece of advice that I wanted. And it's bad, generally speaking, to my view. That's why.
No, I get that. I can see it. But I just feel that because we are situated in the design school system, right? It's just the way that we maybe think that is the right way to consult, because with each certain, like how I see design school students do things, right? They have a certain part that they want to create first. Let's say like they don't go like your method doing every single MVP for each segment of the project. Instead they focus on one segment, let's say this website, right? And they get that website to, let's say, half done with like half design and half copy. Then they show that to their lecturer, let's say like wrecking ball style, and then after that they can keep trimming it down into a diamond. That's why I feel like sometimes that method, which is how I do my consultations, is effective, because they segment each part to make them like a mini masterpiece that fits into this bigger masterpiece.
Yeah, so to put like what Norman said to a bit like a better explanation, basically you are just walking to your lecturers with your design like a small jigsaw piece, and you trim it nicely and you go back and put it back into a piece.
It's kind of there's another analogy for it. It's just basically just trying to say, right, if I had a jigsaw puzzle that I randomly placed the puzzle pieces to, I want that teacher to help me guide me along to fit the pieces back into the right places that I want.
All right.
And to complete that picture, that nice picture at the end. Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
All right.
But now you made me think of something, right? Just because we said that, right? Feedback or criticism never really is okay. It is sometimes very emotionally taxing on you. And I was just wondering, how can you handle criticism? Like, how do you handle criticism?
How do I handle criticism?
Because although we might be saying like, certain things like we want to take this certain things and this is how we do our consultations, right? Sometimes we might not be able to take in that information well, because it's just our own like moral standpoint saying that I thought this was good, and I start crying because it's like my emotions can't handle this.
Yeah,
so sometimes like, how do you handle criticism,
all right. How do I handle criticism?
I want to know.
All right. I mean, let's state three things clearly, all right?
Sure.
So when you go for a consultation in school, or you consulting for your creative directors in the far future, whatever, you are going there to find out the improvement or the opportunity or the perspective you can have for your work. And your work is a residue of your thoughts and ideas. It's a reflection of your creativity. It's not you. Cut yourself away from it. All right?
Right. Okay.
Okay, that's the first thing you should establish. You and your work. It's not your work. It's you and your work.
So it's like it's literally painting a picture of both you and what you can give.
Something like that. So that's the first point.
Okay.
Second point you need to understand is that whatever they say, and hopefully whatever they say is about your work. It's not about you. I mean, any lecturers being a professional in their own crafts and industry, right? They will not, I mean, to my own experience, they will not try and teach you and destroy you. And yeah.
I don't think they want to roast like, a budding, let's say design student or someone who's out in the industry who's just started. I'm sure they want to support, although they might want to be harsh at the same time.
They might be that. So whichever way they contend this, like how they structure their feedback, their criticism, is have a good intention with that. So you just have a little bit of faith in that. All right.
For sure.
Then the last point is that, I mean, because for myself, I'm relatively more sensitive to things, so I just say whatever they're saying is what I say. Fuck that. All right, then say it.
Wait, so okay. I thought you meant like, oh fuck the criticism. No, I thought okay.
It's not safe. It's not okay. The F word I'm trying to say here, right? It's not saying I say no to criticism. It's just that this is it. Just do it. All right, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. All right, just do it. Even though, right, you will, as a human reaction, a very defensive mechanism, you'll just rise out there. Someone say, hey, this is not that good. And then you'll just, boom, I'm here to defend myself. I'm protecting my little poor soul, you know. It's not wrong. I mean, it's a natural response. It happens all the time. But the key thing here that you should know is just say, all right, all my defenses are up, but I'm ready to listen to it. All right, you need to be ready to listen to the criticism and observe everything objectively and with a peaceful heart. All right, just be at peace and listen closely to what they're saying. Don't ever let the emotion run over it. All right, you'll stir things, everything will change.
Actually, no, yeah, I agree with that. That becomes very messy, right? When you let the emotion start like taking control over how you want to perceive the information that's being told to you, you start feeling like, shit, he's directly attacking me. And you just start crying, you know?
I'm gonna call my mom and call the popo to arrest you.
Yeah, cause they start if that starts feeling like it's not your work anymore and they just start harassing you as a person, I don't think that's supposed to be the case. So although it's a bit how to say, maybe unhealthy at certain times, right? To suppress the emotion, it is the most professional way to do it.
Yeah, this is like the best way from my years of being roasted and beaten down to really see that you need to be ready to take it. All right, emotions is not something you can hold it down, but you can put it aside.
Yeah, no, that I agree. It's basic, yeah. When you're taking, especially when it comes to criticism, I feel you have to change your ideology about what criticism should be. You just take it with a grain of salt, like how you do with our podcast, you know? You take what you want, but you can also take it as the right information and you just say, I know, especially if it's coming from a proper source, you know? If it's like some random hater, ignore them. But if it's coming from a proper source, if it's someone with professional experience in the industry, take it with a grain of salt, take their word, try it.
Yes. Then, how do you swallow this hard pill, Norman? How would you take criticism?
How I handle criticism? Well, I mean, like I said, I'm a very pussy type of guy. So, when I heard, let's say we can use back that CO example, right? The Chinese orchestra example. I heard that I was a lazy person, you know? That really affected me for quite a bit. Like, I heard straight into my face. I was like, Norman, you are a lazy student. Then I kind of like joked it off at first. I was saying like, haha, yeah, I am. But like, as soon as I went back home, I closed the door. I was like, shit, they're right. Shit, I'm a lazy student. So that made me have that like, you know, that huge revelation in my brain. I just said like, yo, I don't want people to perceive me as someone who doesn't put in work or effort into anything they do. Right? So when I got that, I was just like, fine, I'm going to say screw it. I'm going to take that advice, I'm going to use it as fuel for my energy to keep trying to work hard. Because I feel like criticism is such a good platform for you to gain back the feedback that you should need to develop, and it can also be a driving factor for you to continue. When I handled my criticism for, let's say, in design school, right? Because again, I'm a slow learner. When I tried certain things, it doesn't work out. And my teacher tells me, hey, you know, I seriously don't think you have enough time to do this. This effect that you're trying to achieve, move on to something else, you'll be better that way. I sucked it up. I was like, but I really want to do this, but fine. You know, I'll do something else. that would help me design something better than if I were to try something that previous thing, you know?
I mean, yeah, that's a little bit of content and context based already, like. So since we're like here, right? Like, what is criticism? Why do we need to get? What we're trying to get from it, and how do we take it?
I mean, we can just do like a quick review, you know? Like, again, what is criticism to me? Might not be the same for you. My criticism is basically just meaning if I hear something that could potentially help me, I'll take it in. Then, you know, why do we need to care about criticism, right? I feel like you would agree with me. It's just because it helps a designer or anybody develop throughout their daily life. Whether or not it be in their work or as a person. Then what was the other one? The
handling.
How do we handle criticism, right? How to handle criticism is up to anyone's interpretation, you know? It's how good you are at emotion control, because out in the world, everyone who handles criticism handles it differently, and people who deal criticism usually comes off as harsh sometimes. You know, it's up to the person listening to it and up to the person telling the information. Yes.
True.
That is all that I have. Yeah, that's all I can think about right now.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much that's what we have been talking this far in the podcast. So I think it's about time for us to talk about another like very important topic that we started off very early on. How do we differentiate between a criticism and an opinion?
Oh, okay. We kind of covered that with a lot of previous examples, actually.
Yeah, but we never really
touched on that. Oh, okay, that's pretty interesting. You want to start first?
Yeah, because I have a little bit more stories to share about that also lah.
Alright, let's go.
Alright, like how I said previously on my previous point about criticism, right? So when my primary school teachers they look down on us for not being academically strong and making all the careless mistakes in math and stuff. I mean, I own it to it, like careless mistakes. Like I didn't do the calculation properly, yada yada, all this. But then they started trying to attack me as a person, right? And saying I'm a dumb kid. I'm like not going to ever get anything and stuff, you know. That to me became an opinion at that point. Alright. Like it has nothing to so-called help me to achieve anything else other than the fact that they try to beat me down.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's not counted as an opinion. No, that is definitely an opinion and not criticism.
Yeah. And I mean, now I'm looking back, like, it became like a clear cut between the fact that they're criticizing me for not doing my questions with like a diligent mind, and the fact that they criticize me for being a stupid kid in the future lah.
Wait, but we got to clear cut it though. It's like the criticism, right? Did they try to improve you, or was it just the burning and after that that's it?
The intention that they were trying to get me to go better grades, right? I mean, as teachers, they want me to get better grades in math. But then the second part of the whole the feedback became an opinion when they started like justifying who I am and who
so they kind of overlaid the criticism with their own opinion.
Yeah, that's where the things get a little bit more murky. Okay. But nowadays when things get a little bit more trickier, because criticism and opinion, right, they may not be so-called personally attacking you, you know. That's not how we cut it nowadays already. Okay. I'll just tell about my own story. So basically, back in the days when I was doing some artworks, right? I was doing this commission. I was doing a painting, and then they came down. Like one of the so-called artists, my teacher's friend. I was working at her studio back in China. Then she came down, and then she saw what I was doing, right? Then she asked me, just like, what are you trying to do here? I'm trying to paint a nice guy. That's what I told her lah. Then she just started saying, all right, but you're using purple, but purple is a set color.
Oh,
Then
okay, so, okay.
all right. So this is where things get a little bit more tricky. What she's saying right now is some color theory thing, right? Like it talks about human emotion and stuff. So nice guy, right? If it's purple, then to her, it became something that's really sad, gloomy. But to me, it's normal.
It was super happy to look into you.
I mean, purple is like
I
so.
mean, he has a face, you know, he has a smiling, he's happy.
I mean, purple, nice guy, you know, dark purple, so kind of like the dark blue, dark sky. Nothing is really wrong to me. One was kind of an elegant color at that time. One born in purple, the expression. So, but it actually got me like pause a while. You know, I started questioning myself. It's like, damn, am I making a mistake here? But man, my teacher who's running the studio she just like, never mind, fuck about this shit. It's more. But it lingers in the back of my head. I keep thinking about this, like, so am I making like the commission set, you know, because the clients so-called they wanted to hang it at the living room where everyone's at peace, but if I make everyone become all set through the color of purple, you know.
I can see that. No, that would be, yeah, that doesn't fit the living room at all.
I mean,
I don't know how you're painting it, but I can imagine we're using that idea of the color theory. That's not gonna work.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say out of this story here is just that in my teacher's friends who just came by, saw my work at one glance, and just state out the whole color theory, they are stating their own opinion to one side. She's not wrong. She's not wrong to say that purple is usually associated with a set theme. But to me, so it's not wrong to say that you put it in a living room is something that's very grand, you know.
But then no, my real question is, do you change the color?
No, I didn't change the color. I don't have time to change the color, man. In the end, everything just looks actually, more honestly speaking, right, because I was doing the painting with oil, so afterwards I just zhangming different colors and it just becomes black. So
you made it worse. You made it darker. That's not fit for a living room.
He's a nice guy. Come on, just let it be.
All right.
But that's where I try to say to everyone who's listening to this podcast, right? You, in life or in design school, you will come to this point where people will say things that's a little bit more ambiguous. You know, you will agree to it, but you also like kind of not agree to it.
Like you might question it sometimes, you know?
Yeah, you may question it sometimes. So in that case, right, you need to differentiate between what is a criticism and an opinion. All right? A criticism is have a very clear-cut purpose to achieve something, but the opinion, it just shoots out, just there, and nothing really happens. You know, the question you will mostly ask if you hear an opinion from someone, just like, so what? What's next? You know, you have no idea what's next. You know, that becomes an opinion in my eyes, now.
You gotta clarify that more, man. I don't get it.
Basically, she told me at a point, right, that my teacher's friend told me,
right,
oh, purple is a set color. Never mind. So, do I change it? Or do I make it not set? Or do I just ditch the whole painting a whole and start anew? Or just make it pitch black? I mean, of course, I went for the last option.
Hell, you had no time.
Yeah. So, it's like, people just drop like opinions with like a very light-hearted, you know, they're just very don't give a damn about it, just drop it and then they leave it.
So you're telling me it's kind of like a sprinkle, you know? It's not really meant to be directed or like have a purpose behind it. It's just a one quick off, this is why I see, done. That's it. That's just my opinion about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no intention for a more in-depth conversation or like further development of the whole conversation. They just drop it and leave it. So to me, that becomes an opinion.
But that means sometimes opinions can be good.
Sometimes they can be good. Sometimes they can be bad. Also,
I think most of the time, it's light-hearted but mostly bad.
Yeah, like they don't really see the effect of, because sometimes when I myself, when I receive criticism and opinion, right, I will start to think, and things will start racing in my head, just real this. Oh my god, what's all the what?
They
Am I,
single-handedly made you question your own work just with one statement.
it makes me question my work. It makes me question myself, and that's why I say is that you need to differentiate these two and receive them separately. Some you can just brush it out, go through your left ear, right ear. Then, but good criticism, right? Okay, just previously I was talking about opinion. Opinion, you can just let it go through your head. Nothing much happens. Criticism, take it to the heart, analyze it, and stuff.
So
yeah.
You're saying, right, okay, so am I right to say this, that criticism should be something that you take this information, which they have also laid on with extra like information for you to improve, and you use that to develop yourself or your work. An opinion, whether depending on context, can be good, can be bad, and you choose to take it as your development.
I mean, for both, you can choose to take it or not.
Yeah, that's the thing, because that's what I was gonna say. Criticism and opinions. You can choose to listen to them, you cannot choose to listen to them. Half the time, I feel, that's what I notice and what I think is that people ignore a lot of opinions and criticism and they stay stagnant.
That's kind of true. People block themselves out from everything. But I mean, ultimately, what I'm trying to say here is that you yourself, as a designer or just as a regular person, you need to understand that what are the things that is beneficial for you, like weigh it out properly and absorb different things. Don't take everything with the same amount of like seriousness or the same level of the negligence. That will wear you out.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely some good advice, because when you take, like, it's the same old saying that you hear from certain people, right? How many fucks should you give to people? And how many fucks should you give to certain opinions, certain criticisms? Can be applied. Yeah, it can be applied to this context, What you choose to care about, right, is where your time is spent, where your energy is spent in redeveloping and rethinking about those things. But in certain things, it's not worth, because it just doesn't lead anywhere. And it will eventually just tire you out and you just say, you know what, shit, I wasted my time, fuck.
Yeah, so that's my take on opinion versus criticism.
But I want to point out something. You did mention something about choosing the right criticism for you, was it? Or something like that? Like, right, you can differentiate what's the right criticism for you. Can you elaborate on that more? Like, I feel like that's pretty interesting, because people have individual like needs or wants and how they want to intake the information. Most of them obviously want it to be positive, at the same time having hard facts. So what's this like spectrum we're dealing with?
Okay, I think the best way for me to explain this is that in the environment and the context consultation, right? All right, you need to go in with a clear purpose in mind of what are you trying to get after this whole consultation. What are you trying to do here? Are you here today to clear your choice for typography? Are you here today to so-called find a better layout? Are you here today to gain approval of your thinking, thought process, your writing, your speaking, or anything? You need to have a clear purpose, all right? And afterwards, when you go through the whole process of speaking and interacting with your lecturers or the people that you are talking to, you receive the feedback from them, and then you listen to them carefully with your emotional like aspects and affections aside, right? You listen to that thing and see that if all of these points or everything that I try to say here aligns with what you have, For example, they give about 20 different kind of feedbacks, 20, right? And only about 15 or like 10 of them has what you wanted, like about getting better typography for your poster, right? Like one of the comment is that, or maybe you should try Garamond and Baskerville or something more classy, or like you need to set your type to 12 and above to make it readable.
That's solid feedback.
Those are solid feedback and criticism. You take that because that aligns with what you want. You want to have a better font typography system for your poster. That's what it is. But then maybe one of the feedbacks that the lecturer gave it to you is just like, I'm not a big fan of red here. Maybe you should change to yellow. And that becomes a opinion at that point in time. All right, because what you're trying to get is to get better typography. But then your lecturer is also giving their own preference and opinion about your color choice. So whether that really so-called affects your final outcome, right, is up to you to define from there already. This is the thing, you can take it with a grain of salt because it does not align to what you really need at the moment.
But then I could say that, you know, with what you just said, right, that means you're claiming that whatever they might tell me is not in line with what I want, right? But let's say we go back to the typography example, the one with like 12 spacing and this is the certain fonts that you should use. Aren't those opinions as well? Like, aren't those opinions for, let's say, certain things, and you can choose not to take them?
True and not true at the same time. I'll tell you why, right? For me, right, if you're to get from point A to B is to go through the door. I want to go from my living room to my corridor, right? And like the most direct answer and the best answer here is to go through my main gate, right? My door, right?
Sure.
That is the direction, all right? That's the direction. And what I said previously in relation to typography design, the 12-point size being the bare minimum size for you to read a poster, like the words from the poster, right? That is the direction here. If you want someone to read the words on your poster, make it set it at point size 12 and above so they can read it. That's the direction. But if you so-called try to do it funky way, you know, you try to like so-called make it like small, or you make it like blurry, you make it very faint and like a very
like where the legibility basically goes down.
Yes, that's the direction goes wrong. You know, the direction is false, right? It becomes like.
Oh, okay. So, okay, now I get it. So it's kind of like you're saying if this is the certain intended, like what you, basically what you stated previously, the certain intended effect that you wanted, and you try to translate over that to your lecturer by showing your work, and your work doesn't reflect what is being, like what you want. That is. And they say you're able to, you can change certain things. That becomes criticism for your work, right?
Yeah, pretty much that.
What you want to drive, but your car isn't a car. So they tell you to go change cars.
Yeah, pretty much that. Like, it's just the same thing when I talk about you getting from your living room to your corridor, right? The best way is to go through your door. But if you do it stupidly, you jump down from your kitchen window and you climb out the story back to a corridor.
You're taking like the super like weird way that shouldn't be the case.
Yeah, you may not even end up on your corridor. You know, you may just die on the way down there. You know, so okay, yeah, that's the thing. It's about pointing the correct direction towards what you need at the moment. It's quite ambiguous here, but it takes years of experience, practice, and observations to understand what can be a criticism and what can be an opinion.
I mean, in the end, it's just all words, you know, but those words carry, I guess, certain types of meaning and weight behind them. So it is up to the individual to slice out honestly what they want to hear, what they don't, which is kind of unhealthy in my opinion, you know, because you can believe in lies and stuff. But the right criticism should be the type that, for you, right, is that to build you up, to tell you maybe certain things you're doing wrong, and then, bam, from that you take it with what you want to improve on.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's like criticism, they just comes and goes, they flow along the way. Then all you really need to do, right, is to let it flow through you. You listen to it, you observe it, and then you absorb whichever that is relevant to you. You may lose some good points along the way. All right, you may lose it. You can't grasp all of them. You can't grasp all the good points, and you can grasp some bad opinions at times. But it will take as you take more, as you like so-called listen to more people saying about things and opinions, and you can really so-called justify what is the little magic words here and there that really differentiate them out.
I just really feel that it comes to the intended purpose, of what you wanted to achieve at the start. Now, after if you can see that what they're saying might be true, and it does apply, and it looks maybe better than what you tried beforehand, is like shit. Okay, that's actual proper criticism.
Yeah, it always points you to a better direction to get what you want.
Actually, I got an interesting story to wrap this up, I guess, because recently, right, we had our module called Studio Project 3. We had how many months? 2 months.
We have 8 weeks.
Yeah, 8 weeks. So around basically 2 months to generate any type of brief and create a solution to be able to bring and attract tourists and people to a certain location. So our location was Orchard Road in Singapore, which is just a shopping district, or Botanic Gardens, which is also somewhere near the city area. So
basically, the whole project we're trying to do here is just we have a place, and we try to come up with something that helps it to solve a problem.
That the problem was to attract people because it was a dying shopping district, like for Orchard Road's case. So I chose Orchard Road, right? And I decided to come up with a few deliverables, being an app, a website, and certain posters and cards and stuff. I started off with my app, and I thought it was alright, because I started designing it, and I says, okay, my app idea is going to be some type of shopping function, because Shop Orchard Road is it's a shopping district. I'm going to lever the shopping so that it works. I started designing, and I realized, okay, I'm gonna go consult my teacher because I'm kind of uncertain on what I'm doing right now. I showed him this app, right? And it just had a logo, super basic functions with no design. So you just imagine, right, a black phone screen. And then you have certain squares that represent buttons that you could click, and then a logo. That's it.
So you basically present him a wireframe that's so naked that he can see his own reflection with your black screen.
Kind of. So when I showed it to him, he was like, come on, Norman, are you serious? Like, you're not designing anything here. The layout is completely fine, typography is fine, whatever, but it's so bland, it's so boring. Like, where's the elements and stuff? So I was like, you got a good point. So I went to go started designing on my elements and stuff, right? And when I came back to him with that fully done wireframe that now turned into an app screen with a certain few elements, right? I went back to him. He tells me now, with what you previously wanted to try to get, right? Which was I wanted to make my app fun looking. He says your elements are not working. And I'm like, well, shit, time to go back to the drawing table and try to figure out what else works for this. I reconsulted that teacher so many times. I had to redo my app, like how it looked like, 5 times. And it was just for the app. So that criticism led into my final product, which looks way better compared to what I started with. And that was just true proper criticism after slowly keep reiterating like, hey, this doesn't work, this is not what you're trying to achieve. When you said you wanted it to be fun, you wanted it to be like modern, rough, or something like that. It didn't achieve what I wanted, and I was like, yeah, you're right. So I went to go back to the drawing board, thought what it was right, came back, he said, finally you got something good. And I just rolled with it. So I feel that when it comes to criticism, right, you have to pick out those, like what Joel said just now, you got to pick out the information that you want especially when with the lecturers who know what they're saying, or any industry person who knows what they're saying, it's like pieces of gold to help you, seriously.
Pieces of gold, I like it.
Yeah, it really is. Because when you hear that type of information, you're just like, yeah, you're right. This is not good, I can change this. Bum bum bum. Help you, they bring you back into what you wanted to do originally.
Yes, the directions.
The direction is really, they bring you back into that direction, and they give you good suggestions to help you out. Like like the theme for my app, right, was like the gimmick, was related to paper and tearing and stuff. So he suggested to me, why not make it super rough looking? And I was like, okay. Then I just go explore on my own. Mini suggestions like that help you a lot.
Yeah. So I think what we have been trying to say for the whole podcast here is just that you do not need to be afraid of criticism. All right, just cut yourself away from what you are hearing and yourself. Okay, it's not going to be at you 100% of the time, even though there might be.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be here and there, but it's hopefully very minimal.
Yeah, but you just let it all flow through you. You observe, you listen, and you pick up pieces of gold that's being hidden that may help you to spark a new inspiration
for
and
your
to
work,
give you, your like a new perspective in life or new way of thinking. So yeah, just hear out to those feedbacks, criticisms, opinions, whatever, and just grasp it. And you really have to be in there. Just face it. Just go and face it.
Yeah, criticism will never, the way I see criticism, right, is although it hurts, most of the time it hurts, because sometimes, obviously no one wants to hear negative things about the stuff, right, unless you're really easygoing. So when you hear something that you've tried to develop over a long time, and then it just says it's bad, and afterwards you get proper criticism for that, you get this sort of understanding that you could achieve higher heights.
Yeah, that's the rush that we call it, the instant rush, when you have the enlightenment. It's like, oh god,
it's a very oh damn, he's right. I can make changes. Yeah,
so just learn to live with that, and then the setbacks and emotions, like the disruptions, all the things. It will be a constant back and forth process. Just get used to it. Just get used to it.
It's always going to be a part of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all we have to say on that matter, right? Mostly.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we so-called wants to this episode.
So are we going to end it here?
Seems to be. It has been
a good hour and a half. Well, no, I'm just joking. It's an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you all for been tuning for this episode, and we thank you very much for your support and feedback. So just make sure to share and like this podcast with your friends.
Stay humble, bro.
Watch
how they criticize us even more.
Yeah,
but it's alright. We accept that criticism. It's okay.
Yeah, we are willing to hear. We are really trying to do this podcast to, other than sharing our thoughts, we hope it can help young creatives or other people who wants to so-called get a better
understanding or perspective.
Yeah, and stuff. So yeah, we will end off here.
All right.
I'm your host, Shrike.
And I am Norman. So long, boys.
So long.